Whiskey for Beginners. A thoroughly amateur production. Hello, I'm Robert McKay. I don't always remember to say that in all my videos, and so people coming to one of them the first time I say, who is that character? But I am Robert McKay, and I would like to review a whiskey for you today. I've already done one review and rinsed out the glass, and I have more than one Glencairn, but I'm not going to mess with it for various reasons. What I'm going to go at here is Bluff Springs Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. Being a straight whiskey, it has to age at least 2 years. If it is less than 4 years, it has to have an age statement. There's no age statement on the bottle, so it's at least 4 years old. And it cannot have any artificial colors or flavors. Kentucky just means that it comes from Kentucky. And there were 2 separate employees of the Total Wine Uptown store here in Albuquerque who recommended Bluff Springs as an alternative to Buffalo Trace. Now, some places you can get Buffalo Trace every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Here in Albuquerque, it's allocated, which means they only send out a certain number of bottles to the distributor, and then the distributor only puts a certain number of bottles into a store. They allocate it, allocate a certain number of bottles, and so you can't find it. I've only seen it on the shelf once. And the only reason I got the 1 bottle of Buffalo Trace that I've had so far is that at the Kelly Liquors store in the Mountain Run Shopping Center, there had been a customer who had wanted one. They'd put it back for him, and then he never showed up, so they sold it to me. And I was grateful. I still am, because I like Buffalo Trace. But 2 employees over at Total Wine told me that this was a lot like Buffalo Trace, and I agree with them. It's good whiskey, but I'm going to review it for you. It's got a nice color to it. Now, because there was a little residual water left in the glass, the legs may not be too great. And this is, what proof is it? It's 90 proof, which is kind of on the low edge of what I prefer. If you're just getting into whiskey, you may be drinking 80 proof, and that's fine. That's just as good a place to start as any. If you're just starting out, you may not be ready for 100 proof, 110 proof, whatever. But it does have fairly decent legs. It's got a nice color. It smells good. There's butter in there, caramel, vanilla. There's a little bit of woodiness. Definitely a candy note. This is really good typical, a really good typical Kentucky bourbon nose so far. Maybe a little hint of something floral in there. There is alcohol, and it's interesting to me. Before I made this video, I made one with a 109 proof whiskey, and I'm actually getting more alcohol on the nose here with 90 proof than I did with that, which is almost 20 points higher in proof. And I don't know what it is. It has nothing to do that I can determine with the quality of the whiskey. Just some whiskey gives you more alcohol on the nose than others, even if it's the same proof, or even if the one where you get less is a higher proof. Definitely got honey in there. Some musty corn. And whiskey tasting is very subjective. When I say musty, I don't mean in an unpleasant way. It just brings to mind corn in the crib. It's been sitting there for a while. Got a little dust on it. It's not fresh off the cob or anything. That is a good nose. And now I'll see what it tastes like. honey, cinnamon, got black pepper in there, got butter in there. I don't normally taste whiskey in the morning. I do that late at night after the end of the day, and so I'm not at my best at this time of day. It's 11:31 now, and yet I can still taste how good this whiskey is. That's good bourbon. Then on the finish, it's got oak, it's got honey, got some spice, and it's lingering there. And if you want my full review, you can go to distiller.com, or you can go to the Whiskey and Whiskey group or the Bourbon Aficionados group on MeWe. And I spend a lot more time when I do those reviews than I do in a video. What you can read in just a couple of minutes is taking me, I'm going on 7 minutes now in this video. And I spend 15, 20, sometimes 30 minutes nosing and tasting the whiskey and concentrating on those aromas and those tastes and what the finish is like. And I'm not going to do that on a video. I'm trying to keep these decently short. But this is a good bourbon. If you like Buffalo Trace, or if you have not had Buffalo Trace and you'd like to get some idea of what it's like, I can highly recommend Bluff Springs. I had never heard of it, and it's not bad. It's just $24.99 for a fifth of total wine, but it's good bourbon. I do recommend it.